And everybody, welcome to the Friday, January 17th edition of the Arkansas Diamond Report. Jason here at the house, Dudley at the house as well. And I want to thank you all for jumping on with us today. Dudley, how you doing, man?
Doing good. About to leave XNA at 2:30, fly through Chicago. Decided to wear the Celtics stuff through Chicago today instead of the Cardinals stuff, but we're wearing Cardinals on the way back. Uh, Patriot and I are going to see our grandson, who is 11 months old now. And this was a trip we were supposed to take in December, and it ended up being the Tom Hanks living in the airport for 2 days story. So we're excited to get up there, and then as I've shared with you, getting a new puppy on Tuesday. So it's a big 5 days. Big 5 days. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I saw the picture of that little squirt that you sent me. He's a cute little sucker too.
Yes, yes. John, his breeder named him John Luke. That's one of the characters apparently in a cartoon called Bluey.
Mhm.
That's on the air. I, of course, am adding some names. He will be called Tatum after Jason Tatum, of course.
Mhm.
Tatum Jean Luc Bluey Holiday. And the
Oh,
reason
holiday.
Holiday is he was born in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So in Oklahoma,
Mhm.
Matt Holiday was one of my favorite players as a Cardinal, and plus Jackson Holiday and Ethan Holiday. Matt's two sons, or one has begun his MLB career, and the other one has. And we like the Baltimore Royals around here so much. We named named Brooks after Brooks Robinson. So, we're kind of tying everything together there. I realize that's a long name, but I get to name. It's my first ever puppy. I've
Ooh.
always had rescues and
Mhm.
and ones that have been given to me by family, friends, and all that. But I've never had a very young puppy, so I'm pretty pumped and been thinking about how to do some things. He gonna chase the
Yeah.
ball, that's for sure. He gonna chase the ball.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's gonna love that too, especially in the puppy mode. Ooh, that's gonna be a lot of fun too. Mel, you
He
gotta
does.
get.
He does not know that he's a Dallas Cowboy fan yet. He does not know he's a Boston Celtic fan. He does not know he's a St. Louis Cardinal fan yet. None of those teams have disappointed him yet. So
Oh my goodness, man! I'm telling you, um, disappointment a little bit using that word for the Arkansas Tennessee game. It was another blowout for Coach Neighbors. Uh, they seemed to stay with Tennessee a little bit through that first quarter, but then after that, it was just kind of you know write it out from there on out.
yeah, and it's got to be tough for those girls. In fact, we had a press conference with Coach Mike Neighbors at 11 o'clock this morning, right before we came on here. And,
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, there's a fine line between head down and head up. How are they doing because of this tough schedule? He said, it's one of those things that really his team doesn't have a Midland thing. They're either head on the chest or head up. And he's seen head up this week. They've had obviously a bye week and didn't have to play. It allowed them to get healthy.
Mhm.
But gosh darn it. Here comes another 15-3 team that really played South Carolina pretty well last night
Yeah.
in Alabama. It ended up being a 20-point game, but, those can get out of hand at the end. And obviously, South Carolina is really good. One of these days they're going to find a team, and then they did in Auburn, I guess, but they're going to find another team that, I think that, they can go into the game with confidence. It's kind of this way. They have to play great, and the other team has to fall. Some of these top SEC teams. So, but Alabama, 4 p.m. on Sunday, an interesting time that was there for TV.
Mhm.
We'll see if that draws more fans at 4 or if, and I would imagine that some of these people are tired of being home, so maybe they'll get out and see it.
Yeah, because these cold temperatures that are going to be coming our way this weekend, you're gonna have to find something to do other than just hole up at the house. I hope that they do go out and see the ladies, support them. It's tough because I feel like with this team, it's either one way or the other, where it's a close game or it's a super huge blowout. And some of the writing on the wall is you can kind of tell that that's coming. But so, I mean, with Auburn, you kind of thought that might happen with them being on the road, but they were able to eke out that 1 point win. So at some point, you would think that these ladies might surprise somebody and jump up and get them.
Yeah, and it helps if your star drops in 36, and obviously Izzy's having a great year, even playing through injuries. I'm so happy that she got the opportunity to be a Razorback after being at two other schools. That's what she always wanted. She's making the most of it. You can see that, losing takes a grind on everybody, but she continues to push and play. And every team they play, their opposing coach talks about how great she is, how she's stepped up even another level from where she was at Arkansas State. She's still the number one scorer in the SEC, which is unbelievable at her size, and the fact that there's not a lot of offensive firepower around with her. It's been a pleasure to watch her play and cover her this year. And the interesting thing in the previous press conference is that there's some NCAA legislation. There's so much NCAA legislation out there, both, so many different ways, but there's a possibility that because she has only, and I say only, played 4 years of college basketball, that they're going to grant that subset of folks another year. So they would love to have her back, and I would love to, they've obviously signed some kids, and we'll have the vast majority of, in fact, I think maybe everybody, coming back that's in significant time. So they, would be poised to make a big jump next year, especially if she stays around. And you hope that happens for her,
Mhm.
for Coach Neighbors, and for obviously the fans.
And speaking of legislation, I want to throw this up here too, really quick. Jerry and I talked about this. It was the Title IX information that was dropped yesterday evening regarding revenue sharing with the university and the student athletes. When a school provides athletic assistance or athletic financial assistance in the form of other scholarships or grants, included compensation for the use of students' NIL, such assistance must also be made proportionately available to male and female athletes. Um, it has
There
not
is
been,
no way, and you know what that's going on right now at almost any
yeah,
school. And
no,
obviously, it would be a landmark deal, just like Title IX was back in the day. As
mhm,
I know, you're a girl dad. I obviously have two girls, both who played sports growing up, and I want the same, opportunities that they have, especially for any granddaughters I might get along the way. We'll see as this goes along, but I realize that the men's sports generate far more money. I'm
mhm,
not stupid. I get it. But people like Caitlin Clark and the WNBA and some of these are very good college teams and stuff. They have generated a lot of publicity. The women's sports is making a move. I'm happy to see it, and I hope that you can get it as close as you can
mhm.
under the parameters of whatever it's going to be. But that is one of the reasons that, let's just be honest, that's one of the reasons that this women's basketball team here is in the shape that it is because they do not have the cash, the straight out cash, homie, that
Yeah,
men's team does. Although they do have a better record than the men's team right now, I guess, which is sad on a lot of fronts. So
it is. The NCAA has a chance here to finally show that they have some backbone by telling every institution when we do revenue sharing, it is going to be for every school across the board. They have that opportunity. Now, will they take it? I don't know. I don't know. I doubt it. But they have a chance to finally start turning it around a little bit and saving some face for basically what's been happening over the last 15 years, where the NCAA has been eroding each and every year as far as compensation and equity between men's and women's sports. I mean, look at the Final Four a couple of years ago with COVID on what the men's teams had to deal with versus what the women's teams had to deal with. There's 597 student athletes on the university campus. That equates to right around $33,000 per athlete for
mhm.
that $20.5 million revenue share. There's been universities that said we're not going to give the football team anything less than 75% because that's our share. That's what the majority of our money comes from.
Rates revenue, yep.
But the NCAA has that opportunity now to say, look, this is what you have to do because each one of these sports is equal in the eyes of the NCAA. This is their moment. I just hope that they take it.
Yeah, and I kind of equate it to this. If it was up to me, my beautiful wife slash nutritionist would cook chicken and dumplings, macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes every night. But I know that's not good for me. I would surge up, in the weight instead of going down like I am. But she is, as I said, beautiful wife slash nutritionist. She's done a good job at helping me lose 30 pounds and and all that. So we all want what's ideal. We'll have to take what we get, but you continue to push for as much equality as you can, not only in sports, but in life in general. And that is, I will get off my soapbox now, but that's fair is fair. But I do realize again which sport brings in the most money and how it really helps the other 19, although there are a few others in there, baseball, basketball, some others that really help as well. And obviously being in the SEC is the dominant thing. So
it is. I want to talk about dominance for just a second. Then I started a little bit of controversy whenever D1 baseball had put out the latest preseason rankings. Arkansas's 5th. Actually, I need to put this up here. I had not done this yet. Dadgum. It's got all the rankings for y'all. You guys can take a look at that too. D1 baseball, NCAA, ESPN all have Arkansas ranked 5th in the nation. And then you saw that little 13th there at the, I think by Perfect Game, I think is what it was.
Yes, Perfect Game. Yeah. The other two preseason polls will be out before too long, probably in the next week to 2 weeks. That's Collegiate Baseball and Baseball America.
Correct. I went on the whenever University had posted that on social media, I put on there that they were overrated. And I'm not talking about just the team. I think that the ranking right now is overrated. I personally thought that they should be ranked between 15th and 18th, and then let them climb their way up. There's so many, and I'm not saying so many, but there's some injuries in key spots with this team that they're recovering from. Most notably from the bullpen. I know that Dave has talked about the power arms, but the problem is that some of these power arms, they get into the bullpen and they disappear towards the middle end of the season, and you just don't see them anymore. These are some young guys that I feel like if they're good enough, he needs to toss them out there instead of just letting them kind of mature and get out there and get a little bit better before he can trust them. At some point, you have got to just throw them out there and say, hey, what can you do for me?
All valid points, all good points, and we'll see how this team is. I will just play the other side of the coin now. I do think that the reason people have been disappointed in the baseball seasons the last 2 years, even though one was an SEC shared championship, the other was winning the Western Division. They finished 2010 both years, just because of the fizzle out at the end. And I think that I've always been a proponent of not overusing pitchers, although it's done everywhere in the major leagues, high school, college. I do think they've got some incredible freshmen, and I know they're going to be eased in somewhat, but I think you have to find, again, that fine line between using them if they're studs and not overusing them, as we have seen happen. I do think this is a balanced enough staff with both lefties and righties, with veterans and newcomers, that you can find a nice mix. I believe there's going to be more people trotting out to the mound this year than there has been. I mean, it's been a collection of just a few guys who you can count on in the big games trotted out there, and I believe they're going to do that a little bit different this year. As far as the rankings, number 5, I agree with you. I think maybe a little high. Number 13 would probably be, if I sit down and did my rankings, would probably be there. Now, I will say that D1 baseball has always loved the Arkansas staff, has loved what they do, and Kendall Rogers and Aaron Fitt and those guys do a great job. I have great respect for them. So they're always, I think, going to err on the side of putting Arkansas higher than possibly lower where they should be. Here's what I will say, And I've said this, to a couple of people privately. I don't mind saying it publicly. I do think that this baseball team is better from top to bottom than last year's baseball team, and that is because they have more depth position wise, they have more depth player wise, and they simply have better athletes than they had last year. They have better baseball players than they had last year. I'm basing that strictly on going to watch them practice and scrimmage a lot, a lot, during the fall.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to start again a week from Friday. If it's warm enough to or not too cold, I guess should be the right way to put it. Not too cold, they'll play their scrimmage outside. If not, they'll do it indoor. When it's indoor, we don't have the opportunity to watch it. When it's outdoor, it is. So I'm rooting for good weather on that weekend. But January 24th, they'll get it fired back up. I'm excited about the season. I do think they're going to be a better baseball team that will finish better. I don't know how it's going to go during the season as they manipulate things and try to fit the jigsaw puzzle together, but I do think they'll be stronger at the end. And I'll be honest, these two fizzles out the last 2 years at home has marred things from really once I came to Hogville and covered it for the first year, and they went straight to Oklahoma. Oklahoma State won there, went to North Carolina, went to College World Series.
Got pretty close too.
Yeah, so I'm expecting the family here. We're not expected to do anything, like vacation wise until mid-June to late June. If that does happen, we'll figure it out. But I do feel like this is a much better team, and they saw their deficiencies last year. Their deficiencies were in the outfield. I do think that Kendall Diggs is healthy and going to have a big, big time year. It's a money/contract year for him. He played, hurt last year. He's healthy this year. And I just think from watching them that they have constructed a baseball team in a manner that allows you to win more games through the transfer portal. And they've got some great freshmen, not only pitching wise, but position wise as well. And I've, this was my question to Dave Van Horn the other day. I have a man crush on Brent Irondale. I think he's going to be an awesome third baseman. I mean, if you name your son after a third baseman, then you know how much I value that position, and I really think he's got a chance to be the next superstar there at third.
I do wonder about first base because Dave he touched on this, and I feel like that first base this year was center field from last year where he had a turnstile. He's got 5 guys over there. He said it's almost comical at this point because you don't know who's going to be playing that day. And the thing that worries me, though, is he also said that first base is the position that touches the ball third most during the game.
Right.
And I would hope that they have this thing ironed out, hammered down, and getting the infield set before the first game of the season. I know that he talked about he hopes to also have a pitching staff and most of the positions hammered out by the first game of SEC play. But I mean, Wazoo's coming very quick. And I know that it's first few series is basically like a tryout to see who works the best or the most. But I really feel like if you're going to get first base hammered out, it needs to be done before the season starts.
Yeah, and they'll be going strong at that from obviously January 24th to the opener on February 14th, and I'm sure it'll go into the season a little bit. They have plenty of people that could play first base, that can hit, that can play first base, but they've got to get them a first baseman that can hit. The defense is so important. And, as he pointed out, the amount of times you handle the ball, you've got to come in on bunch. You've got to make the throws to second and third when the ball's over there. I mean, so many different things. If it was just based on hitting, maybe the younger Eloy would be the choice. But there's going to be several that are going to get a shot there. And we saw several, over the course of the fall, including Michael, and I'm drawing a blank right now on his last name, the big power hitter. It's going to be interesting to see who they get there, but somebody will rise to the top and take that position, just as they have it everything. But that is it was a question to him, and he noted it was comical, and comical is not what you want to hear about your first baseman.
No, no, it's not. And that's one of the things that kind of worried me a little bit. Also, after I had said that I think that the preseason ranking is a little overrated, he also talked about the last couple of years. The the coaching staff talked about it behind closed doors, that they were hoping to kind of piece some things together until it kind of started to take off, because they may not have thought that they were as good as what they were put on paper as. He seems to think that this team might be better just from the simple fact that how vocal they are. Last year, they weren't vocal. They had one power pitcher and basically two middle relievers that were starters. It
Yeah, I think it
shows
was
because
I think that was a very honest assessment from him, and what
mm,
most of us thought was that this team was just scraping by because of the greatness of Hagen Smith, and that they
yeah,
won more games than they did, and that really at the end of the year they were who we thought they were, who they were. You are what your record says. They had a tremendous record. That's always thrown out there, but they skidded to a finish, and they cannot do this year. I think they've tried to do some things. We're going to see if it works.
mhm,
Now you have 16 teams in this league, and just like with softball, adding Oklahoma and Texas just makes it that much tougher.
it does. The last point I'm going to make on this, I know because we've been kind of heavy on baseball today, I felt like it was appropriate just because of Dave's press conference.
It is
He
called the
talked
Diamond Sport.
It is, and I think that it's been pretty appropriate because Arkansas stole 13 bases last year. 13. That's it.
They may steal that in the first two series, the one in Arlington and the one here this time. That's all they did was run during the fall. I mean, everybody, even the catcher Ryder Helfrich, who is a great athlete,
He did great over the summer too. I think he was second in catchers, or second, not catchers, but second or third, I think, in summer ball in the
home
league.
runs.
He was,
Yep, and led it for most of the year. But yeah, there's going to be a team that goes first and third more. It's going to be a much more athletic team. They're not going to sit, and I know a lot of people are excited about this. They're not going to sit back and do the Earl Weaver wait for the 3-run homer deal. They're going to be on the move, and that's the way I think the major leagues are going to get back to now that they've doing everything they can to keep a pitcher from dominating.
yeah. Because I feel like the last couple of years, this team has either been power alley ball, or it's been where I think, and I hope that they don't go completely Whitey Herzog ball. But if they do, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because you saw that what TCU did to them 2 years ago, and that's, you can't have that happen again.
Yeah, that is, I mean, to be honest with you, TCU is what they want to look like this year. And, that team that came in here and, had a mixture of everything. And we'll see if that's how it plays out. I think it has a wonderful opportunity. There are some question marks. And, it's always about how you get to the finish line. You can get there. You can finish last, you can finish in the middle, or you can finish first. And as Ricky Bobby says, you don't want to be number 2. So first runner up.
So kind of turning the page here, Coach Deifel met with the media this week as well. Anything that you kind of took from her first sit down before the ladies really get to start to fire this thing up the first of next month?
I have a great respect for Coach Deifel, and you can just see how confident she is. Again, compared to last year, she had a piecemeal pitching staff.
Mm-hmm.
She got 5, top 5 freshman class, and all of them are just dominant. Bree Ellis is my favorite quote. Ella McDowell is my favorite player now, in the manner that she just yells and like I did back in the day. Sometimes I guess like I still do. But they've got a phenomenal freshman group, 3 pitchers, a lot of and they've got some vets back. They're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be away from the campus until February 29th when they when they go into tournaments. They'll open up here, but excited I don't want to call it cocky, but she looks confident, and I think there's a big reason to be. I would be surprised if I don't watch and cover a lot of wins at Bogle Park and Baum Stadium this year. because that's what you usually do anyway. But I just think
Yeah.
both teams are better.
Yeah, I want to see both of these teams get back to where they were 3-4 years ago, where every time you turned around, it was another Razorback weekend victory for for a series victory. It seemed like every time you turned around, there was somebody that was breaking a record of some sort, or they're top 5, top 10. It's kind of had a little bit of an ebb for both clubs last year or two. I'm hoping to see also that they start going back into the flow.
To use some young lingo, I think that both teams are 10 toes in, standing on business, and that's no cap.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious, man. I should have known that too, because I got a 14-year-old, and there's some things that I don't say around her because I know that that's her lingo that she uses with her friends. But there's a couple that just drive me up a wall, and I know that if I start using that lingo around her, it goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, my maturity is about at a 14-year-old level. I think my wife would agree with that. So, one of these days I'll grow up not.
Oh, hey, the one that I still can't get past is that when you're talking to your friends, they call them chat now. Chat, what about this? I'm like, wait, why? They're in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna start calling you chat and telling you that things are looking a little sus. And she just goes off the rails at that point, and that's it.
Bet.
No, that one too. I use that with my friend Demetrius, man. Him and I, that's one of the things that we do use. The one thing I do find funny is when you said no cap, that reminded me of a couple years ago, whenever Arkansas was in the Elite Eight, they were playing Duke in San Francisco. And Scotty Bordelon said the best quote of the day, Bob Holt asking somebody what no cap means. Whenever JD Note used it.
It is what Connecticut has in basketball, college basketball, no cap.
Exactly. Well, Dudley, I'm going to get you out of here, man. It's been good talking to you. We'll be back next Friday at 10:30 for you guys. If you have any comments, questions, throw them up there later on. We'll answer them too on social media. Make sure to go over to hogville.net to take a look at all of the written content. Also, the boards, everything is free. Make sure to go over there and take a look at all of that. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel on the like and subscribe button that's going to be on the lower right-hand corner for Dudley, myself, Jason. Y'all take care. Go Hogs.